Let's talk about Pagan Online. Pagan Online just recently announced that they're going to be going to full retail 1.0 on August 27th of this year. So that is almost exactly a month from the time I recorded this video. Now, this is surprising for a couple of reasons. First off, Pagan just hit early access April 17th of 2019. So it's only been a little over 3 months that this game has actually even been playable. Secondly, their first big content patch just came out a little over a week ago. So they've basically just went from release to early access in April to big content patch in July to full release in August, which is an incredibly fast period of time to be in early access. So for some of us, that raises some concerns. Can they actually go that quickly in their development? Has their game been that polished thus far to warrant going from early access to full release at that speed? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to cover some of the things that I think are good about Pagan, some of the things I think need a lot of work, and we're going to talk about whether or not I think that they can actually make it to that release date and have a fully fleshed out and polished game. All right, so first let's start by talking about where Pagan Online stands right now. So Pagan Online has, I believe, 6 or 7 chapters of story content currently. It's got some end game systems. It's got an itemization system. The newest content patch released a different crafting system than before, and it released skill trees so that character customization is better than it previously was. And I believe that's actually true. I didn't even bother to play the game until this current content patch because I believe that character customization was so weak that there was really no point in doing it. And it seems that Mad Head Games, the developers of Pagan Online, agreed, as in a recent post a few weeks before the newest content patch. They addressed this, saying that they believed that they did a good job of uncovering the action part of the ARPG genre, bringing it back, so to speak, but that they maybe missed out on the RPG part. And so this new content patch was meant to bring that closer in line. But they also released a roadmap at the same exact time, suggesting 3 separate content patches would be released. And these updates are meant to improve that section of the game in particular, along with adding new content to the game. Now here we are, and all of a sudden, it seems that roadmap is out the window, and instead we're looking at a release. So what happened to the roadmap, and is what's in the game currently good enough? Well, let's go over what maybe we think we need to have in a fully fleshed out, ready for retail game. So first off, you want a game that's polished. You want it to be optimized. You don't want to have frame drops. You want the multiplayer to work and work well, to avoid disconnects, to avoid major lag spikes, to not have issues between players so that maybe one player is zoning in long before the other player is and can actually start the fight and get both players killed. I'm bringing up these specific examples because these are examples that currently Pagan Online has a serious problem with in their multiplayer system. In fact, it's bad enough to where very recently, only a few days ago, Pagan Online opened a new channel in their Discord asking for feedback on their co op and actually got a large amount of feedback. Most of it basically talking about the things I'm stating here. So the the co-op problem is known to the developers. And so they had a live stream yesterday, and I asked them about this. I basically said, "Okay, you guys are going to release on August 27th, but you just opened up this channel on co-op and you got a lot of feedback about the problems of co-op. Are you confident that you can get these issues resolved by the time you hit release?" And the answer I basically got was the person who was on the stream was not working in that department, but that the people who were very confident that they would get this resolved. So he believes also that they would get this resolved. But that really does leave a lot of questions. First of all, why are you so confident that you can get this resolved so quickly? And if you are that confident, why did you need a feedback channel in your Discord to get our feedback, to get our opinion on its state, if you were so confident that you could have it all resolved so quickly? And the basic answer seems to be something along the lines of, well, our internal version of the game is way farther along than the version we just released. Okay, well, if that's the case, if it's way farther along, then why didn't you just release the better co-op in the last patch? It seems like that's something you'd want to do. How are you so much farther along, but we didn't get that stuff in the last patch? It definitely seems like you'd want co-op to be one of the things that's rock solid, but it's definitely not. So it's really strange that they came up with that answer, and it makes me really concerned that co-op is going to be a problem going forward. And that's not even bringing up the fact that co-op currently is only 2 player, and we don't know if or when it will ever get 4 player. You can't do the story campaign on it. And as recently as today, when talking in the co-op feedback channel, this was addressed because one of the big questions is, why isn't there campaign co-op? And Dimos said, quote, there's a lot of things we need to get right before giving players the option to play the campaign in co-op. I know it has been said a bunch of times already, but we want to give you as good of a gameplay experience as we can. And that sounds great, except we're literally a month away from this going live as far as retail is concerned. And retail, you want your co-op good. You want it to be what it's supposed to be. So why wouldn't you have campaign co-op ready by then? Or are you going to have it? And so why don't you say that? Well, campaign co-op will be in the live release. It sounds like it's not going to be in a live release. And that's a huge problem because people are really enjoying playing co-op when it works. And you can't do a large portion of the game in co-op. You have to do it single player, and clearly it's something that players want. So how are they going to mesh that together? I'm not sure that they can, but I hope they do. But the answers we're getting are a little dodgy, and there's no clear answer to these sorts of questions. Whether or not what's going to make it in this release version, what's going to be fixed, what's still not going to work properly, and so there's a whole lot of issues surrounding the co-op currently. And that doesn't even touch on the general optimization issues that the game has that also bleed into single player, where, spoiler alert, there's still a lot of optimization issues. There's still a lot of lag. There's a lot of bugs that make even the single player experience not what it should be for a retail release. So, a lot of concerns if they can't even get the optimization for the single player or just in general done. How are they also going to get the multiplayer done? The other big issue is the stuff we had just previously talked about, the RPG elements. So they made a lot of changes here in this last patch. We've got the skill trees. They had a story chapter that doesn't even have the voice acting currently done. They've completely changed the crafting system, and in a way that many players feel is not the best. Me personally, I've never gotten a legendary crafting recipe in, I believe, over 40 hours of playtime. Itemization has a similar problem where I think I've gotten one legendary in over 40 hours of playtime. So these don't seem like they've been balanced yet. They're supposedly going to be releasing 2 new characters in the upcoming release. So that's more work. That's not even stuff that's already implemented. It's implementing more stuff. There's a lot of stuff that's just not ready. And we're supposed to believe it's going to be ready in a month. And this is very different than what other games in the genre that are currently in development are doing. So, for example, Wolcen, a game that is fairly similar as far as development, maybe a little behind, has a release date of the end of the year. A release date that I don't think they're going to hit. I think they need a lot more time than that. Last Epoch has a much more realistic release date of April of next year, a game that also is pretty similar as far as its development stage. Torchlight Frontiers doesn't even have a release date yet. They're still in alpha. They haven't even hit beta, and they're not that far behind Pagan, if they are at all. And all these games, in some ways, are actually ahead of Pagan, depending on how you look at it. So, for example, Last Epoch and Wilson's character customization systems and their depth are way ahead of Pagan's. Torchlight Frontiers has probably a lot more mapping to it currently than Pagan does. It has a lot of systems that Pagan doesn't have. Again, they're still in alpha, so they don't even know when they're going to release it. Probably won't be this year. So it's just really weird to see Pagan coming out with an August 27th release date. And this is in particular concerning to me because I like this game. Like, I want this game to succeed. I think it's got a lot going for it. The gameplay loop itself is really fun. I like the art style. I think it really works. I think there's a lot of potential for depth in this game that hasn't even been mined yet, which to me is further reason to keep it in early access as you continue to uncover how to make those systems work and play better. The fact that they're going more RPG, more character customization, skill trees, better itemization, better crafting, supposedly, although we haven't seen that yet. But the fact that they're intending on heading in that direction and have taken steps in that direction is very encouraging to me as well. I just don't see how they're going to get all that stuff even close to there on retail. Now, it's true that you don't have to have everything done at 1.0 anymore. You can implement stuff after, but we also know that that's a fine line to walk, as was shown by Anthem, a game that decided to take this general approach. They actually went games as a service, which we're not sure Pagan Online is going to do that, but they went games as a service approach. We're going to release a base core product, then we're going to build on top of it. Well, the problem with Anthem was the core product that they released was minimal. There wasn't much there. And so after a short period of time, players got bored with it. They wanted more content, and the content was not forthcoming. Anthem still hasn't released any major content outside of one dungeon even now, and that game released earlier this year. Pagan is, in my opinion, a similar situation. They have a lot to offer, but a lot that needs still to be done. I think in some cases they're in the same boat as Anthem. The story is good, but it's maybe 12 to 15 hours right now. I'm not even sure it's that long. The itemization needs a whole lot of work still. The crafting system is bare bones at this point, as far as I can tell. The little bit of crafting I've been able to do, because the drop rate is so ridiculously low, especially on the stuff that you actually want to craft, like legendaries. And so I'm worried that Pagan Online is setting itself up for a similar scenario with less hype behind it. Because if you remember, Anthem had a ton of hype, and that drove them to huge sales. They made a ton of money by releasing that game early, but of course the backlash is such that they lost out on a lot of money, and they may never recover from it. Pagan can't afford the backlash because they don't have the hype. If Pagan flops, it may never recover. And one of the reasons they might be releasing this early, and this is pure speculation, I have no idea what Mad Head Games' financial situation is, but it might be the case that they don't have enough money to continue their development, and so they have to release now in hope to get an influx of cash. If that's the case, and they release a game that's not ready, it could destroy it. It could be the end of the game. I really hope that's not the case. I want this game to be amazing. I want it to be one of the best ARPGs ever made. I am rooting for it wholeheartedly. But I want to give my opinion because I think that there's a real strong chance that they're making a huge mistake. I mean, if you look at the reviews right now on Steam, they're mixed. That's after the patch has gone in. That tells me they're not ready to be 1.0 yet. They're not close. You have to start getting those really good positive reviews before you hit, unless you've got like some crazy stuff that you've just been holding back that you're going to release and you just know it's going to be amazing. But you're doing this a month and a half after your last patch. I'd be really shocked if they had something like that up their sleeves. And then there's another problem that they have that a lot of people I don't think are recognizing. So they picked a release date of August 27th. Now, if you're paying attention to gaming in general, you know that's a really, really big day in gaming. It may be the biggest day of this year because it's the day that Classic WoW comes out. And Classic WoW is going to pull in so many players. Now, will it have the longevity? A lot of people are speculating that it's just nostalgia, and once the first few weeks are over, people are going to stop playing it. I don't think that's going to be what's going to happen. I think that Classic WoW is going to be a phenomena. It's going to be more in line with old school RuneScape, which has just become incredibly popular and way more popular than the current version of RuneScape. But even if I'm wrong on that, it's not going to matter as far as Pagan Online goes, because those first few days are unquestionably going to be huge. And if you just looked at the numbers that were being pulled in during the beta of Classic WoW, where Asmongold was pulling in 100,000 viewers to watch a low-level dungeon, it's going to be even crazier at retail. And he was just one of the streamers, by the way. I think Soda Poppin' was over 50,000. And that was when people couldn't play. Now people can play, and all they need is a subscription to WoW of any sort. They don't need to buy a new game. There's a ton of people who play WoW, and a ton of people that play WoW are people that would play Pagan Online. The developers don't think so. When they were asked in their community stream or the developer stream whether or not they thought Classic WoW would be a problem, they said they didn't believe there was any crossover between the two. I don't know how you come to that conclusion that there's no crossover between Pagan Online, an ARPG, and Classic WoW, an MMORPG. Like RPG is in the name of both of those. I, for one, I stream both ARPGs and MMOs because they are so similar and I enjoy them both so much for similar reasons. But that's their stance on it. They think August 27th is totally fine for that reason. I believe that it's a huge mistake. Even if the game is actually going to come out and be good, like even if Pagan fixes most of the problems that we've talked about here, a lot of people that would otherwise play this game are not going to play it on August 27th because they're going to be playing Classic WoW. I'm going to be one of those people. I'm personally hoping that I can get in on their new program where we can stream the game a week early and give it a really good shot, but we'll see if I can or not. But that's the hope. That way I can actually play Pagan and I can play Classic WoW. But anyone who's not going to be a streamer or a YouTuber or get into that program is not going to have that option. They're going to have to make a tough decision. And I think most people are going to choose Classic WoW. And so for those two reasons, I'm really concerned about the launch date that they chose. Is the game going to be ready? Man, I hope so. I really do. Like, I really want this game to be just so good. After playing it last week, I had a totally different feeling about what this game could be. I imagined it being a great game, but it's not there yet. And if you release too early, you run the risk of ruining the reputation of the game and doing so permanently. But I hope not. I really hope not. And I hope that the, Classic WoW release date doesn't harm them too badly and that the reviews are good enough to where once people tire of Classic WoW or need a new game to play, that Pagan is the new game they choose to play. But only time will tell. These are my opinions on it, my thoughts on it, my concerns about releasing that early. Here's to hoping that I'm wrong about that. All right, guys, I hope you have a great time in Pagan or whatever games you're playing. I hope you get a chance to play Pagan Online and that it becomes the game that we all want it to be. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to join us in Twitch, I stream 6 days a week. Love to have you there. If you have any other questions or comments that you want to discuss about Pagan Online or this video, drop me a comment down below. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please give me a like. If you enjoy the content that I'm providing, a subscribe would be awesome. Much appreciated. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Hope to see you again real soon.